Did you know that there are over 3.6 million cases of child abuse each year? Just think of how high that number is when you add the people in that have not reported the fact that they were abused. Child abuse is more common than it should be. Abuse and neglect can be caught and stopped if the parent or guardian knew the different types of child abuse and the signs to look for. I know a few people that have been abused in some way, so this is very important to me. I also have 2 little girls, so I'm always on the watch for signs of child abuse and neglect. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 4 different types of child abuse and the signs to look for in each type. One type of abuse is child abuse. Or it's physical abuse, I'm sorry. Physical abuse involves any form of physical harm or injury to the child, such as hitting, choking, slapping, shaking, and so on. It's caused from the parent's inability to control their anger or just the fact that they're intentionally causing harm to the child. Many parents and guardians that are physically abusive try to play it off as it being a form of discipline. There's a big difference between discipline and abuse. Discipline is where you're just trying to teach the child right from wrong, and physical abuse is where you're basically putting the fear in them. If they don't do right, they're going to get hit or something very harmful to them. Physical abuse is often unpredictable, so the child never knows what will set the parent or guardian off to make them lash out at them. And when they lash out, it's normally due to being angry or thinking the child might have done something wrong. So the angrier they are, the more intense the physical abuse is. Parents and caregivers think that the child needs to fear them to get them to behave, when in reality they're just teaching the child how to avoid being hit instead of learning how to act and grow as individuals. Another form of abuse is sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is any type of sexual act or exploitation of a child. Behaviors can include fondling, digital or penile penetration, genital contact, oral contact with genitals, or indecent exposure. It doesn't always involve touching. It could be by exposing the child to sexual situations or material. This form of abuse is most often not reported because of the shame and guilt that comes with it. The child that is abused, they lost my spot, hold on one second. It's not often reported. The sexual abuser is always someone that is a close family member or someone that they trust. So the shame and guilt comes into play there because they feel like they're doing something wrong or that they are responsible for the abuse. So it's often not reported because they're scared of getting in trouble, thinking, once again, that they're responsible for it, or the parent is not going to believe them, or the fact that they could get in trouble for it. I lost my spot, I'm sorry. This form of child abuse causes a lot of emotional damage and can cause them to be self-loathing, and can make them have a bunch of sexual problems whenever they are older. A third form of abuse is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is behavior that makes a child feel unwanted or unloved. It could be the parent or guardian is threatening them, insulting them, belittling, isolating, ignoring them. This form of abuse is often not reported too, because for one, it's hard to identify emotional abuse. They can say, oh, well, it's just a behavioral problem. That's why they are getting on to them for it. They can blame it on the child. The guardian or parent may also expose the child to violence, such as abusing a parent or an animal or one of their relatives. The abuser bullies a child, and either because they think that the child did something wrong, or because they just want to get the satisfaction of hurting their feelings. This form of abuse is also often known as the silent destroyer because it's overlooked, and like I said before, it can be hidden in behavior labels. Emotional abuse can cause a lot of serious emotional consequences and long-term repercussions in the future. The last form of abuse is neglect. Neglect occurs whenever a parent fails to provide the child with basic needs. This could be failure to provide food, shelter, clothing, education, medical care, and so on. The parents may also permit the child to do drugs or alcohol, participate in dangerous behavior, and fail to provide necessary nurturing for the child. Some parents and guardians are mentally or physically unable to take care of the child. They might have an injury that leaves them unable to get up, take care of the child, or they might suffer from depression, anxiety, so they're not emotionally and mentally capable. Alcohol or drug abuse can also take part in this. The parent or guardian might be addicted to drugs and is unable to take care of the child as well. Neglect has received significantly less attention than physical or sexual abuse to doctors and the media. It's hard to identify neglect. That's one explanation of it. Now that I have talked a little bit about each form of child abuse, I want to mention the signs of each one. The first one is physical abuse. Physical abuse, you can see signs in them by noticing frequent unexplained injuries like bruises, cuts, broken bones, and they just can't give you an explanation as to why they have them. The child might seem scared or afraid of the person, might shrink away from them if they move. If the parent or guardian moves their hand and the child flinches, that's another sign of child abuse or physical abuse. If they wear clothing that's inappropriate for the weather, they might be trying to cover up their bruises or cuts or anything. And now we have sexual abuse. The different signs to see for that is if they have trouble walking or sitting, if they display knowledge or interest in sexual acts that are inappropriate for their age, or even displaying seductive behavior, that's a really good sign of sexual abuse. They having nightmares, bedwetting, anxiety. They're afraid to be around a specific person for an unknown reason. They don't want to explain why. If they have bloody or torn undergarments, or even they come up with a STD or a pregnancy. The next one is emotional abuse. Now, some good signs for this is if they're excessively withdrawn, they're fearful or anxious about doing something wrong. They can show extremes in behavior, such as they are extremely demanding, extremely passive, extremely aggressive, or they are just erratic in their behavior. Another sign is if they become unattached to the parent or guardian, once again without giving them an explanation as to why they're scared of them. They act inappropriately, such as acting really infantile, sucking their thumb, rocking, or acting really extremely adult, like trying to take care of other kids their age or younger. A few more signs is physical or emotional developmental delays. It causes them to regress in their emotional state. The last one is neglect. Some good signs to tell for this are clothes that are ill-fitting, they're filthy, inappropriate for the weather. Like if it's really cold and they're wearing shorts or clothes that do not fit them enough to protect them from the cold. Their hygiene is consistently bad, like their hair is matting, their face is always dirty, they have noticeable body odor consistently. Untreated illnesses or injuries, walking around with a broken bone or cuts on their body. Physical effects from malnutrition. If you look in the picture, this child right here suffered the effects of malnutrition, and then after they were taken away from the parents, this is the same child after they received the right nutrition and care. Frequently unsupervised or left alone to play in dangerous environments. They might be left alone outside while the parent's sleeping all day. They might leave the child alone while they just go out. Or they stay at home and let the child leave. They get into trouble and there's no repercussions for it. Today we went over a few different types of the child abuse and some of the signs that are noticeable in detecting each form. This information is vital to a child's life. If you happen to see a child displaying the form, you can identify it and take the steps necessary to stop it.